Let's hit the field.
It is Friday, April 18th, and the Yankees were taking on the Rays in Game 2 of a 4-game set in Tampa. Carlos Rodon on the mound and trying to get back in the win column and trying to extend the Yankees' winning streak. I got Terrence Kehm with me tonight. We're going to talk about the game and go through the state of the Yankees 20 games into the season. My recap, your reactions coming up next. This is Pinstripe Territory.
Just wanted to talk, that's all.
All right, let's go. Let's get it going.
All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. And welcome back to Terrence Kehm, TK, out there in California. How you doing, TK?
Doing well. Good to be back. Good to be back in the States, too. I was in Paris last we spoke.
Yeah, we saw the video of you watching Pinstripe Territory in front of the Mona Lisa. And as much as I appreciate you supporting the show, that's a just obscene thing to do. You're looking at one of the greatest pieces of art ever made.
Yeah.
And you know, the Mona Lisa's there too. So, TK, I'll tell you why I like having you on the show, man, because, you know, other than you're a pretty knowledgeable Yankees fan, usually when I'm working on the post-game show and watching the game, I'm like buried in work. I'm taking down notes. I'm building the show. But when you're on, I'm confident that we can do a quick 30 minutes without me having to have a whole lot of notes because you're pretty dialed into the game too. So I'm going to start off, take a little break tonight and let you kind of lead off things. What was your big takeaway tonight?
Yeah, dude, I'm like your spotter or something at the gym. I got to take some of the off. But Carlos Rodon, it was funny. It was one of those things, man, where it was really hot in Tampa. It was a nice night. They haven't really played in any nice weather at all this year. But in the first inning, he was having what seemed to be like a classic Rodon unraveling inning. And I was like, oh, man, like, are we going to get nothing from him? Kind of like what they got last night from Will Warren. They got absolutely nothing. And you really didn't want to ask the bullpen to get that many outs. But to his credit, he really dialed it in, had probably his best start all year that he's had so far. And that's, I think, what we've seen from Carlos Rodon in his Yankees career is he's either what he was tonight, absolutely shoves and he's lights out, or he walks a couple guys, gives up a big home run, and then he unravels and the game totally gets away from him. So really good stuff from him. I think his velo has been the best it's been all year as well. He was consistently 97, 98 tonight. I know that it was warm down in Tampa, but I think, Derek, that might be the hardest I've seen him really kind of sit with his fastball so far in his Yankee career. I haven't really seen him get up there in velo, and it looked really good. Couple wild pitches with the changeup. They were talking about this on the broadcast, but the sweat, he's kind of a sweaty mess when he's out there. And it looks like they improved the jerseys because last year that jersey would have been like a dark charcoal color by the third inning. But there was even a moment, Derek, if you saw, where the umpire was like, you got to wipe your hand. Or I think they were saying that the sweat mixed with the rosin was getting a little bit of a sticky thing. And he was saying, I can't grip the ball. So I don't really know what was going on there, but I was kind of like, is this like a sticky stuff situation? But it ended up being fine. And then he threw a wild changeup because the ball slipped out of his hand.
It was pretty clear that he was struggling with his perspiration. The ball, I mean, he had a couple of, hit the mascot moments, but overall, I think he deserves some hardware. What do you say, TK?
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. 100%. So there it is. Carlos Rodon. Is that his first of the year? I think it is.
No, that's his second. That's his second
of the year.
Belt of the year. As we go through the belt leaderboard here, Judge has 3, Rodon has 2, and then Grisham, Jazz, Cabrera, Max Fried, Will Warren, Carlos Carrasco, Jason Dominguez, and Ben Rice all have 1, but really solid performance. Can't complain about 6 shutout innings. And this is not one of those nights where it's a really intensive recap. I mean, we had Trent Grisham with the RBI single. He continues to hit really well. Volpe didn't hit at all, but he flashed the leather today. Obviously working on another Gold Glove. He had a play going to his right where he got it and made a throw across the diamond that lost a little bit of steam, but Goldie picked it. Goldie had a good night on defense too. And then there was that relay from center field from Grisham to Volpe to Cabrera. That was just a phenomenal play.
Defense.
And then Goldie had a great day. He deserves a little bit of an honorable mention. 3 for 4. He's hitting .373 now. Great job by our bullpen. Mark Leiter did a nice job. you were on it with Fernando Cruz. I mean, the guy has dialed in. Like, he had a little bit of a rocky start with the Yankees, but the last couple of times out, man, he has been disgusting.
Yep.
And then we gotta give it up to our boy Luke Weaver. And I think we forgot to play the most important thing of the night. Yankees win.
Game over. Yankees win. Yankees win.
All right, TK. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about the takeaways from the first 20 games. It's actually kind of good that this wasn't like an exhaustive recap. It's nice and neat victory, 1-0. And that's 4 wins in a row. So I guess we should mention it's a winning streak.
There it is.
Wow, winning.
What do you hear? What do you say?
But we're going to talk about the state of the team 20 games in. First of all, these are the topics we're going to basically run down, but feel free to drop your comments in the chat and we will get to them. So Ben Rice emerging as a legitimate dominant hitter right now, I think, is a major story. That's the number one storyline so far for me. He got robbed of a home run tonight. Martian, he has, been up and down statistically. He's had some good games, some bad games, but his defense has improved drastically, and he's had some really good games offensively. I think he's going to have a nice summer. The rotation, obviously, Stroman was terrible. You saw the rant. You don't need to talk about Stroman. He's throwing again. They announced it today that he started playing catch, and I retweeted it, and I said, is it too soon to tell him to stop? Will Warren, obviously didn't get out of the second inning yesterday, but he had a good start before that. Rodon, we just talked about, up and down this year, but when he's on, man, he is on. And Max Fried has been nothing short of tremendous. We'll talk about the Judge Revenge Tour. I think he's working on another MVP. We'll talk a little bit about Volpe and Jazz, kind of like, how that double play combination's working, a little bit about their offense. Neither one of those guys putting up huge offensive numbers after really hot starts. Belly and Goldie, Plan B. I guess Plan B also includes Fried, so we can lump him in. And then Devin Williams, who got the night off. So let's begin with Ben Rice. Let me get your thoughts on Ben Rice, TK.
He has been, I was talking a little bit with my dad about this, but he has been more than a pleasant surprise. He is totally kind of emerged as a legitimate major league bat. I think it's going to be fascinating when they get Stanton back off the IL, how they decide to handle that. Because if Derek, you've brought up the baseball savant numbers quite a lot, all the deep analytics, all the projectiles and all that. And I mean, the percentiles, the guy is in the red everywhere. He looks, if you blanked out his name and you just got the savant page up there, he looks like, a Kyle Tucker or a Corbin Carroll or somebody like that, like a real name in the game. And the fact that what he's doing right now is just really special.
More than what you see when you look in the mirror. With Nutrafol's science-backed whole body approach, nourish growth from within. And
What do you hear?
Sorry, we had a little technical glitch there. We'll get to the ad later. Hit the wrong button. Hit the wrong button. That's all.
We're all good. But I was just saying, like with Ben Rice, he has just been more than a pleasant surprise. And I don't know how the Yankees are going to handle it when Stanton gets back. You can say that, they'll platoon sort of sit, like they'll put Stanton against lefties and Rice. But if he continues to hit like this, you cannot take his bat out of the lineup. You just can't. I don't know how you look at the fan base and you just tell Yankee fans who know their baseball, like, oh no, we're going to go with Stanton because he makes significantly more money. And look, I gave him his flowers. He's always a playoff performer, and I love Stanton. He's had awesome moments, but you just can't deny what Ben Rice is doing right now for this team. The guy just rakes. But I think Aaron Boone's quote about why he was batting him leadoff, I think, and they were like, why are you batting him leadoff? And he goes, he rakes, period.
Because he rakes. That's exactly how it's, because he freaking rakes. Yeah, I mean, I'm loving what we're seeing from him. He has great at bats too. I asked Todd Frazier today. He was doing the broadcast tonight, but he was also on Foul Territory today. And we were the first two people in the production meeting this morning. And I said, Todd, as somebody who's around major league hitters and understands major league approaches at the plate, is what Ben Rice is doing for real? And he said, I'll tell you what. He has a really short path to the ball. Like, it's a really short swing, and that's a good thing. And, even some of the outs, like he cranked one to center field that got caught He got robbed of the home run. Like everything he hits, he destroys. That's to me been the biggest thing this season. He's basically been Juan Soto. I mean, you hate to say that. He's basically been budget Juan Soto. It's like, why didn't we re-sign Juan Soto? Cashman's like, well, we got Juan Soto at home. Ben Rice.
Yeah. That's why he's wearing the number. They gave him 22.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe it's not the Indian, it's the arrow. It's number 22 on his back. That's called, it helped Cano. But Martian, what are your thoughts on Jason so far? Because obviously the defense was the biggest worry. I think he's been fine out there. I can think of one or two plays where he didn't look great, but he's made the catch. He's had a couple of snow cones. There was one that kind of hopped and, he didn't field it great. But the last few nights especially, I think he's made some tough plays. There was one a couple nights ago had a 33% catch probability, and he made the catch. I think the arm looks really good and really accurate. He's playing with a lot of confidence, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him, and I think the more that I watch the games, the more that he's out there and left, the more like confident I feel with him out there. I think at the beginning of the season, you kind of hold your breath anytime a ball was hit out to him out there, but he's made a few really nice plays. The one that comes to mind specifically, Derek, was the one that he's like leaping, kind of like going back, like he jumped.
That was the one.
Yeah, that was a great play. And I think that you can see it. His confidence is really kind of growing. And I think the Yankees have kind of handled this perfectly because I think Kay had mentioned this on the broadcast, but you wanted to avoid like a Gary Sanchez kind of situation where you kind of crossed up his defense so much that it started to affect the offense. And this is a young player with really special tools. And he's an athlete, Derek. I think he's going to pick it up quickly. It's just like a matter of time, and it's just a matter of reps. You would like to see a little bit more from the right side, but I think again, it's kind of coming along pretty nicely. But I think, Derek, the best quality, and I think you've mentioned this before about Jason, is his ability to learn quickly and his ability to develop very quickly, which is a great quality to have, especially for a young player. And that's not something that guys have. Like sometimes it takes a guy quite a while to develop, or they're a late bloomer. I mean, for him, it really feels like in the 20 games, he almost feels like a different player from game 1 to game 20 now, where we are now. I feel a lot more comfortable with him out and left. I think they probably look at him being the permanent left fielder going forward. I don't know if they want to put him back in center eventually, but later in his career, I guess we'll see. But right now, I'm really liking what I'm seeing, Derek.
Yeah. Rotation. I mean, this is where it gets a little bit ugly. I mean, Rodon obviously had a good night tonight, but he's been kind of inconsistent. And I still don't trust him in a big game. He's too home run prone. Threw the ball well tonight. We'll give him his due. Max Fried has been worth every penny so far. But I have very, very little faith in Will Warren. I have very, very little faith in Carlos Carrasco. Even if they pitch well, like that's a nice surprise, right? It's like if you stop by a restaurant because you're starving and it just looks gross, and then you have something and hey, it's pretty good. That's kind of how I feel when those guys throw a good game. Hopefully Luis Gil comes back strong, but they had to push him back 10 days in his rehab, which is not typically a good sign. It means he's healing a little bit slower than they expected. So, I mean, where are you right now with the rotation? How are you feeling about it? Do you think that there's, any chance that we get Alcantara? I mean, I think we'd have to give up Lombard, and I don't think the Yankees want to do that.
I don't see Alcantara, or honestly, it's spelled Alcantara. I don't know why it's Alcantara.
But it's pronounced Alcantara. I got that wrong a bunch of times too. It's
weird.
Get it,
but okay, the guy named Sandy down in Miami. He's a great pitcher. He's been kind of injury prone the last couple of years, but I don't think that they're going to get him. And I think that there's going to be I don't think the Yankees even have the assets to give up to get a Sandy Alcantara. George Lombard would have to be the conversation starter. And I'm not about to trade George Lombard Jr. when he's probably going to be the starting third baseman next year. And I feel pretty confident about that. So I am not interested. Just for that, am I interested? Yes, he's a great pitcher, but I'm not interested in giving up what it would mean to give up in order to acquire him. With the pitching, I'm kind of like survive until Gil gets back. I don't know what he's going to look like when he gets back. I'm not super concerned about the 10-day delay just because I think they're being ultra careful with him because the starting pitching rotation right now is in a fragile situation, and I don't think they want any setbacks with him, so they'd rather play it conservatively, and that's fine. But, you got Clark Schmidt back, and that's going to be helpful. You hope that Will Warren kind of continues to develop, and Cookie can kind of give you a nice solid start here and there, but that's asking a lot. Obviously, Marcus Stroman, he got sent to the Sun. I put him on the Sun, Derek. He's on the Sun now, so that's it.
Yeah.
But that's all you can really hope for. I told you this, Derek, before the season started. Remember, I had a pretty nice prediction. I said I think we should get Jazz Chisholm Jr. They get Jazz Chisholm Jr., and he seems to be like a great fit. He's not playing so well right now, but we'll get to that. I said my prediction for this year, if they get a starting pitcher at the deadline, is a Luis Severino reunion, which is what I was sort of seeing that. Signed, like, I think a 3-year deal in Oakland for about $22 a year. Sorry, Sacramento. But
actually, they don't even like to be called that. They're just the A's now.
The Athletics, or whatever the hell they are. But I would see that as a potential fit. He's obviously pitched in New York, and Derek, you remember this in like the 2017 kind of era. The guy is absolutely electric when he's on in the playoffs, especially. He's like screaming out there and stuff. It's like exactly what you want to see. The guy is so amped up all the time, and I think that he's kind of learned how to pitch more as an older pitcher now that he's been in the league a few years. So I definitely think that's more of a name I would be interested in. I think it would cost a lot less than getting a Sandy Alcantara myself. And I think that's probably a pretty good fit. I don't know what the A's would ask for in return, or if they're even going to be in it or selling or whatever, but I could see that as a fit.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. We got a comment here. Barry the Chopper says, thoughts on Pablo Reyes. I think he's probably going to get cut as soon as they bring back DJ LeMahieu, and DJ LeMahieu will occupy that spot on the bench and keep it warm and be an emergency $15 million a year guy. I think the Yankees are going to have a couple of guys who are making a lot of money that are not going to be getting as much playing time as people think. I heard Michael Kay today on his show saying, well, the Yankees aren't going to just make Giancarlo Stanton a versus lefties only DH. And I say not so fast, because I mean, let's not forget he's a diminished version of himself right now with the elbows and with the hamstring. So I could see it happening. Like, I could see them being like, look, if June, let's say June 10th rolls around, that's about when they're expecting him back. And we're going to say they're going to slow walk it because Rice is killing the ball. Yeah. Let's say June 10th rolls around, Rice is hitting, and let's say he regresses a little bit to the mean. Let's say he's hitting 280 with, let's say, 10 home runs. You cannot take him out of the lineup. I think you would have to split time at DH between those two. Aaron Judge, I think we got to give some time to the captain here. The man is having an unbelievable year again. He didn't have such a hot night tonight, but, I mean, you're not going to get 3 hits every night. I'm going to pull up his stats real quick, and we can take a look at him because, I mean, he's just having another monster year. Stand by.
Rose an MLB The Show player, honestly.
Yeah, 384, 500 on-base percentage, Terrence. 7 home runs and 22 RBIs in 20 games. He's on pace for over 162 RBIs this season. He's averaging more than 1 a game. And that's just bonkers numbers for Aaron Judge. I mean, I'm going to put you on the spot, okay? You got to clip the wire or it blows up. Win a Triple Crown? Yes or no? You clip the green wire for yes, the red wire for no. Which one you clipping?
I'm saying Triple Crown, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. I think he's going to do it this year. And I still think he's going to make a run at 70 too, because he hasn't really even started hitting home runs again after that initial onslaught. It's going to happen. We've seen him hit 15 in a month. And once Bellinger starts hitting, we get a little bit more pop in the middle of the lineup. Maybe Stanton comes back. I think that they're going to have to pitch to him more.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Derek. I'd say the only like player in the American League that's like a legitimate threat to the Triple Crown, or the only other player in the American League that's like a threat, I guess, to win MVP is Bobby Witt Jr. And that's the only guy in the American League that I can really think of. But yeah, I think that even that fly ball he hit to center, I thought that was gone when he first
I
hit
did
it
too.
off the bat. I thought that was way out, and then
I think the wind was
like
blowing
knocked him
in.
out.
Yeah, wind was
Yeah,
blowing
man.
in today. So for all of the, talk about this being a launching pad, the last two nights I feel like the wind has kind of played some tricks. Last night you saw guys drifting. Tonight you just saw some balls get flat out creamed. I thought that Rice ball was going, 10 feet further than it did. So speaking of Rice, we did get a super chat that I want to address. Somebody says, what about Rice at third base? I don't think the Yankees would do that. And I've mentioned that maybe he should take some reps over there, but I just don't think it's realistic. You don't want to weaken the defense that much. I just think the spot for him right now is DH, and the fact that Giancarlo Stanton's coming back. I mean, sorry, you got hurt. We're going to talk a little bit about Volpe and Jazz next. We got a lot of comments here about Volpe in the chat, but first I got to give a quick play of our sponsor. This time we're going to do it on time. We're going to play the Nutrafol ad, and then Terrence and I will be back, and we're going to talk about Volpe and Jazz. We're going to talk about Belly and Goldie and Plan B, and unfortunately how Soto's doing with the Mets. Although the Mets I think just walked off tonight. So and then we'll touch on Devin Williams and the bullpen, and then we'll wrap it up. But quick word from the guys at Foul Territory. Back in about 60 seconds.
Your hair is so much more than what you see when you look in the mirror. With Nutrafol's science-backed whole-body approach, nourish growth from within and achieve your best hair yet.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
Physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients, Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting key root causes of thinning like stress, hormones, and aging through whole body health.
Start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol for a limited time. Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code FOUL. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL.
What do you hear? What do you say?
All right. Okay, so Volpe. I want to get your thoughts on Volpe, but just my quick thoughts are obviously outstanding defender. And I think he's probably the best shortstop other than maybe Bobby Witt defensively in the American League. But his offense worries me. I've been telling you, and I've been telling my audience, I think he's taking the wrong approach, and I think that pitchers can beat his approach. You and I have discussed the player archetypes. I'd love for you to dive a little bit more into that. I communicated the other day that I felt like his archetype was more like Dustin Pedroia, which is something we've talked about. So maybe you can explain it a little bit better than I can.
Oh, no, he's definitely the player that he was, Derek, at the beginning of last year is the player that I think the Yankees are hoping for him to become and for him to be. And it just seems like I think that his rookie year, he hit – how many homers did he hit his rookie year? But he hit
21.
quite a few.
He hit 21
home runs. He hit 21 home runs as a rookie, and I feel like that kind of maybe got in his head a little bit. Because it's like a considerable amount for a player of his stature, if you will. But he's a guy that's got to be going gap to gap. He's got to be, doubles and walks machine is what I want from Anthony Volpe. And because he's got speed, if he was doing that consistently, you could theoretically lead him off. But if he's going to be a doubles machine with speed, you could put him in the middle of the lineup, in the 7 hole, in the 5 hole, wherever he's at, 6 hole. But with him, it's frustrating, man, because right now he's like an Andrelton Simmons. Do you remember Derek and Andrelton Simmons?
Oh, yeah, Simmons? I remember Andrelton Simmons.
Elite glove with Atlanta for years. I think with Anaheim for a little bit.
And Brian Cashman always wanted Andrelton Simmons. Yeah. Always wanted him.
Always. So he was an elite glove with Atlanta and Anaheim, for those of you who don't remember, but the guy just couldn't really hit. He was consistently like a 9-hole hitter for basically his entire career, but man, could he pick it at short. And Volpe, two sparkler plays tonight, especially throwing the guy out at third. I mean, that was huge. That might have saved them from going into extras or losing the game right there. But his approach is frustrating, and he is sort of, I guess, streaky. And I think with him, fans have this kind of preconceived notion of he was going to be the next Derek Jeter. Not because of the player that he was in high school or the player that he was in the minor leagues, but just because of the grew up in New Jersey as a Yankee fan, idolizing Derek Jeter and that kind of whole thing. And I think that, and then also the Yankees kind of raised the stakes on his expectations when they said no to Luis Castillo for trading him to Cincinnati.
Agreed.
And that really kind of raised the stakes even more of this guy better pan out, basically.
Am I imagining this, or did Oakland want him for Matt Olson also?
I feel like I remember hearing something. There were multiple teams that wanted him for a significant return that the Yankees would have gotten. A Matt Olson, a Luis Castillo, anybody like that. And the fact that the Yankees were basically saying, no, this is the shortstop of the future, I think in a lot of fans' minds, adding the whole kind of hometown grew up a fan element, Derek, I think that just kind of snowballed into this guy better become the next Jeter. And there's not a lot of guys that are Derek Jeter. There just aren't. And it's not that he is a bad player. He's an elite defender, but his offense is, I think, you would like to see more than you have. I don't know if you ever will see more. Maybe this is what he is. Maybe he is a 220, 230, 15 home run guy with elite defense. I hope not. I feel like I've seen stretches of him, Derek, in the pros, like in the majors, going back to last year at the beginning of the year, where he's been a really solid bat, but you don't see that enough for me to feel confident that that's who he is.
I'm going to pull up Corey Seager. This is somebody that the Yankees passed on because they had Volpe coming up. So since signing with Texas, he has averaged 25 home runs and 65 RBIs per season. He hit 245 his first year, but then 327, 278, and 306. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the World Series MVP in 2023. Yes. So
and a huge.
Yeah, against the D-backs. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. So good player. Jazz appealed his suspension. What are your thoughts on Jazz? I feel like he's a fun player, but he's almost. I saw a description one time, all trim and no stash, or all something like that. Like it was something like that where it's like, not really a cowboy, but looks the part. He's a flashy player. Old school guys would call him a hot dog. I think he's fun. I like him. I think he's a solid defender. I love his arm. I love his athleticism. I want him also to get away from the home run or nothing approach because I think there's a lot more in there as a player. I'd be satisfied if he hit less home runs and hit more doubles and triples and used his speed and was just a more exciting, distracting player.
Yeah, I think the word you were looking for probably is like a pest. Like Volpe and Jazz both pests up the middle, right? Like especially offensively. But I love Jazz. Jazz is my guy. I remember watching Jazz. I was living in Miami one summer, going to Marlins game, watching Jazz, watching him come up, and then him being randomly the cover of the MLB The Show game one year with the Marlins. But he's a little frustrating just because he is kind of that all or nothing approach. It's not that he doesn't have the power, but I think that he doesn't really need to go all or nothing for him to get it out, especially in Yankee Stadium with the short porch. I think he can probably have a couple wall scrapers that go out. But yeah, he's a flashy guy. And I think that for the Yankee traditionalist, it's like very much the opposite of what they have seen in their lives as fans. He's got like the anime elbow guard that's like yellow and red and the green belt. And it's like a little out there, but I'm cool with it, man. I mean, I think the Yankees kind of needed a little bit of that kind of swag, if you will, last year, especially. I think they needed a little bit of that kind of in their clubhouse, an irritant, if you will. I think every team kind of needs their irritant, and they try to with Josh Donaldson, but he's like kind of get off my lawn a little bit kind of guy. And he's just kind of annoying. I think the players like Jazz a lot more because he's funny.
This is an interesting comment. This is from Yankees for the Win. He says, I don't care for Jazz. As Dickie V once said, he's all airport team, which means he looks good walking to the airport. But once he got on the basketball court, he couldn't play a lick. Yikes. That's a tough one, but that's pretty funny.
That's
I
hard.
got to admit. Dickie V, one of a kind. Jazz, obviously we want more production out of him, but I do think that up the middle, we've got a really solid defensive squad right now from catcher straight on through to center field. Let's talk about plan B, which was Max Fried, Belly, and Goldie. Right now, I think it's working better than plan A, which would have been to re-sign Juan Soto. I think the team is deeper. And even though Belly hasn't gotten going yet offensively, I mean, we saw the catch the other night. There's no way Juan Soto catches that. He's had some big moments. He had that big 451-foot home run in the second game of the season. I think once he kind of gets back on track, we're going to see a lot more of that. He's still got the pop in his bat. And Goldie, I mean, the guy's hitting, 373 now? I mean, he's not hitting for a lot of power, but he's doing exactly what I want him to do, which is create base runners, hit line drives, move runners, get runners in. I think he's going to drive in a lot of runs, TK, because he's going to come up in those situations with guys on third, less than 2 outs. And unlike the guys in the past, like Luke Voigt, who are just trying to mash the ball out of the ballpark in that situation, he's content to hit the ball to the right side or get the run in with a fly ball or whatever. I love Goldie as a player. I admit that I didn't consider him strongly enough because I just looked at the numbers last year as a whole. I didn't really consider the splits as much. I made the mistake they were talking about on the broadcast, where you look at a guy whose numbers went down and you say, well, he's 37. What do you expect? And so I wasn't thinking that it would get better, but it has.
Yeah, I've been really pleased. Obvious upgrade over Anthony Rizzo at first. It's just plain and simple. There's no arguing it. I think it's a good veteran presence to have again in the clubhouse. He's a guy who's won an MVP. He's been a really good player his entire career. He's been around the game for a long time. And I'll just highlight this play, Derek. The play tonight where he got the guy at third on a rundown, where he kind of charged. That's just a veteran baseball IQ play.
Heads
right
up
there.
play.
Heads up play right there. Huge out at third to get the second out there of the inning. And then I think the guy ended up at second. But like now you're an out away, right? Instead of having a guy right at third. So that kind of stuff is just something that's a little bit of like an intangible, something that the analytics won't show you. Just those little plays here and there, which has been big. And yeah, his bat, you can't ask for much better from him. I guess I will a little bit. I'd like to see a little bit more power, but I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing so far. I think the homers will come. I think 20 home runs from him this season is very doable. If he gets hot, I think that it's very doable. And yeah, he's been great at first defensively. A couple nice scoops tonight, a couple nights ago as well. And me personally, they've let him off a couple times. I don't hate it because he gets on base a lot because he's hitting really well right now, but I like him a lot in like the 5-hole, Derek, with some traffic on the bases.
Yeah,
He kind of like, like you said, is content of getting the bloop single or the double in the gap or whatever. And you want to get that traffic going around the bases, right? So I like him a lot in the 5-hole.
So we got a comment here. Second Yankees player getting food poisoning while on the road. Keep an eye out on that room service staff. Yeah, what is with that, man? There was this time last year where the Twins were carrying around this disgusting sausage. It was like a good luck charm. I think the Yankees are doing that, but they're actually still eating it. Like you got to be a little bit more careful there. But yeah, we had Belly with the wings problem, and then obviously Austin Wells down with it right now. So hopefully those guys get feeling better. And let's talk a little bit about a guy who early on in the season made our stomachs churn, and that is Devin Williams, who has appeared to have locked it in over the last couple of times. Are we still feeling confident about D. Will?
Yeah, I'm feeling confident just because if you look at his history with his numbers month to month, he usually is pretty rough March, April, and then he improves as the season goes along. I don't like this narrative of the Mets broke him last year in the playoffs. I mean, just stop yourself. Like if that went like another inch further down on the bat, it's foul. So sometimes baseball's like that. They call football a game of inches. Baseball is kind of a game of inches too. But I'm not worried about him because he's looked better also in his recent outings. And the Yankees also have 2 closers on their team. Not a lot of teams have that.
True.
Where
yeah.
It's almost like if Devin Williams doesn't pan out, I am totally cool with having pitch the 8th and have Weaver close.
And on a night like tonight, where you want to give him the night off, Weaver comes in, and he was dominant. That's the best we've seen Weaver this year. He was throwing 95. Hot, at the top of the zone, hey, that's what you want from him.
Yeah,
TK, I mean, where do we stand right now? Before the season, we said over under 90 wins. It was 90.5 wins, and I think we both took the under. I'm taking the over now. I'm switching my vote. I mean, Frankie, don't change it in the official thing, but I feel like we're trending better than I thought.
I feel like I took the over. Frankie's gonna have to confirm that for me. I thought I had taken the over, but like 91 wins or something like that. But yeah, they're playing well, man. I like what I'm seeing. The Detroit series was ugly, but it's freezing. You're not supposed to play baseball in that weather. I just gotta like baseball. You gotta like let it go. You gotta like let it go and kind of see what you have. I'm not gonna have like a legitimate, real opinion with actual evidence on this Yankee team until probably around my birthday, which is mid-June. Then I kind of have a feel for who's having a good year, who's not having a good year, what's a legitimate need. Just for you guys in the chat, around that time, mid-June, late June, that's when Derek and I will start discussing like trade deadline things about like who we think the Yankees should get and like what's a fit and stuff like that.
Wait a second. Who's making the schedule here? Who's making a schedule? I'm going to start talking about it way sooner than that. Tune into Pinstripe Territory all season long. We'll be talking about it tomorrow. Fucking
I'm
Jesus
talking about
Christ.
you. I'm talking about more so like you and I will like text back and forth about like, this is. Oh, I had the under apparently. But like in terms of who's kind of out of it, I think that's when the trade market really starts to shape up, and it's when you get a feel for like who's for real and who's not.
Yeah, so Frankie Baseball says that all of us had under 90.5 wins for the Yankees.
I've never been so wrong in my whole life.
Well, hopefully they do better than that. All right, TK, we're going to call it a night. It is rather early for a Friday night, 10:16 on the East Coast. You still got a whole night, 7:15 or 7:16 out there in West Coast. So enjoy your evening out there in California. I think I might be down for a little MLB The Show tonight. You know, maybe watch a little Severance over there. I downloaded Dune. I'm going to give it a shot because you recommended it to me. So,
dude, get on it, man. You got to watch part 1 and then part 2. But part 1 is the only movie I've watched where the sequel improves the first one. I've never seen.
Watch the Terminator movies. Watch Terminator 1 and
Terminator movies. I've seen the Terminator movies. Yeah,
Terminator 2 is unequivocally better. I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill.
It's known. This is a known thing. I've met Arnold. Nice guy.
Yeah. All right, Gabe. All right, game. We'll see you later. Catch you next time. Hey, while I've got you here, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pinstripe Territory is the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. We are home to the #1 most watched MLB postgame show on YouTube since 2021. We're here after every Yankees game and for reactions to all the best news and rumors during the offseason. Be a part of the show by calling into the voicemail 718-899-1068. Try to keep it clean for me. And if you ever miss us on YouTube, be sure and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars. It'll help other people find the show. Thanks for watching. See ya.